Hi guys, so it's been tax season here in Singapore, and I found the process a little confusing, even though Singapore is said to be one of the best places to do tax in the world. So anyway, I just quickly give you an overview of what it's like to process your individual tax here in Singapore for my reference, and maybe you find it useful. So come April, you're supposed to do your individual, I'm talking about individual tax report, which basically means logging in with your SingPass, which is like a government identity thing. That's difficult to get. Okay, logging in, and then you're supposed to fill in a form. The main element of a form is probably given to you on another form by your employer. It basically tells them like the deductions or something like this into your CPF, which is your social fund. So you basically have to copy and paste something from a piece of paper onto the form. Some companies do this automatically for you. Most companies don't. So this is why you have to do it manually. And a lot of the other deductions are pretty much irrelevant. Things get complicated if you've somehow been, as a foreigner, if you've run your own company and then or you switch to EP and then you switch to PR, things get super duper complicated. But hopefully you can work through it like I did. Now, you get presented with a form with a rough calculation of the tax you're supposed to pay. Good thing about Singapore, low taxes, fantastic. And then you submit the form, and this is where I found it got a little bit confusing, because it sort of prompts you to set up a gyro, but then the process just kind of stalls. So that's one of the most confusing things after submitting the tax form, for me at least. So fast forward, in 2 months' time, actually, what is actually happening here is that they take your sort of like application and they take about 2 months. So in May, they take a couple of months to basically say, okay, that's right, what you've submitted, now pay it. So I guess it gives them some sort of breathing room to correct things or what have you. Check that your declaration's correct. So in May, they will send you probably a letter like they did to me asking to make a gyro application. A gyro application, or just pay the bill. A gyro application basically is like in the UK's direct debit, where you tell the bank it's okay for the IRAS to debit the tax bill from my account, which you can do through DBS or OCBC, which I did today. Where it gets confusing is that if you have a company like I do and you have a personal thing, I was wondering what tax is this? Because what's happening nowadays is that when they send you a tax bill, or when I receive my tax bill, they basically give you a tax code as SXXXXX880A or something like that. In my case, basically, the IC number on my identity card, the first 4 digits are obfuscated. This is I found really confusing, because you're supposed to use this IC number as your tax reference. And when they send you stuff and everything's like XXX out, am I supposed to use that same XXX? No, the government has had this initiative to basically, not just themselves, but also telling the private industry not to show the IC. So the IC number, like I remember, I think in Finland they had the same issue. Even though in Finland the IC is basically your birthday with a couple of extra characters, the fact is that people are using these ICs to do applications on your behalf, commit identity fraud, because basically they have no security. So now the government has put the onus on you to keep your IC secret, which is absolutely very frustrating, because everyone in this in Singapore gets to see my IC, or every time I do a business with my mobile provider or my utilities, they want copies of my IC. So I can't help but think my IC number and copies of my IC are just sort of just out there already, and I think it's a little bit confusing that their mandate now to keep it a secret is a little bit silly. I mean, it reminds me of credit cards. The long number is basically permission for you to debit my account. That and the onus is on me is to keep that secret. I mean, that's ridiculous security in my opinion. You need that chip and pin. You need, I would love it if I could open up a mobile contract and I could get maybe a SingPass link, because everyone's has a SingPass thing now. If they could send me a SingPass link through SMS or email where I basically authenticate myself, and that would be a smart nation thing. Anyway, I've rambled about how individual tax applications work here in Singapore. In April, you make a declaration. In May, you should be paying it. And yeah, be aware that your IC is probably going to be obfuscated now, confusingly. Yeah, good luck to you. And don't tell me about your terrible tax regime in your own country. It's probably way worse in Singapore. But I still think, the usual stuff, like a terrible amount of acronyms. I wish they could film, someone filling in the form, because I don't think I'm that dumb, but I really struggled. So hopefully this will be a reference to me and others that you can work through it. And I'm hoping people at the IRS who have this extraordinarily bad web form to make it better. Don't make it a mobile app. Just make it a better web form where things are a little bit clearer, please. The fact that it was a 2-month break between submitting the form and paying, come on guys, geez, make that clear. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, and taxes and death. Almost certainties, right?